I want to tell you a quick story as we get started here. I was at Stryker about a year, and I had an opportunity to work with our global customer care and service organization before I was in HR. And so as I went through that experience, you think about your car dealership, right? You take your car in, you get it oil changed, serviced up. You may take a rental out for a while. Stryker does the same thing. So pretty much any medical device that Stryker Instruments builds that can fit in a box gets shipped to Kalamazoo from all over the country. And it gets serviced and repaired there. And thousands of orders and thousands of repairs come in daily. And so I spent a lot of time in that organization. And I'd been at Stryker about a year. And I was called into an office with a couple senior leaders. And they said, let me paint you a picture of what we're after here. So I'll try to do this for you now. We had a call center group or a contact center group that took orders and entered those orders all day long for both customers and our sales reps. They sat in one building on the campus. They had their own 800 number, their own leader, their own culture, their own processes. And then across a parking lot in another building, we had another call center. And that call center took all the service repairs and all the dispatching of field service technicians. And they had their own 800 number, their own org chart, their own culture, their own leader. And so every day we would have people, sales reps or customers, call in and say, hey, I want to buy something and get something fixed. And that individual on the phone would say, great, I can help you enter that order. And then I'm going to have to transfer you over here to enter that repair. And how many of you have had a frustrating 800 number experience in your life, right? What I just articulated to you is the essence, especially for our own sales reps who are pretty driven folks and not very patient. That's a very frustrating customer experience. And so basically they sat me down, they painted me this picture, they walked me through it, and then they said, we'd like you to help us figure that out. I didn't know a thing about call center. I didn't know a thing about what we were doing. And I thought, okay, let's dig in. And so what it ended up being was this immersive kind of 6-month research project. We got to go interview Zappos. It was really cool. We got to go see the kings and queens of customer service and understand how they do what they do. We did a lot of benchmarking. We did a lot of internal research, voice of employee, voice of sales. We did some voice of customer, double-blinded interviews to understand what they thought of their contact center experience with us. We went out and networked with a gal who is now at a different organization, but she was the director of customer service at Starbucks. We actually flew her to Kalamazoo. She took part in this innovation workshop, and we learned why Stryker could be better and how Starbucks is best in class at what they do in the contact center, if you didn't know that. And so we did all this work, and about 6 months into this work, we're finally ready to present our plan. And so I remember coming to, I'd given this same kind of walking presentation to group after group after group. What are we changing? How's it going to affect you? What's the difference going to be? Why is it going to be better? What's the research we've done? And I come in and I meet with the two leaders of each of these kind of competing contact centers, right? Pull them in and we say, look, this is going to affect your world. You've been a part of this process, but here's what we want to do. I'll never forget, they're both great people. One of them is since retired, one of them is still there, good friend of mine. They both look me in the eye and they're like, no, we're not doing that. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to come together. Different teams, different cultures. There wasn't a whole lot of incentive for them to do it other than maybe doing the right thing. And I remember being so frustrated by that experience, and so I went into a one-on-one with my then at the time manager and the executive sponsor for the project. And so I'm sitting down and I'm naturally a little frustrated. I'm probably a little more forthcoming than I maybe should be in that setting, a little emotional. And I'm venting a little bit. And I know none of you have ever vented at work before. And so I'm venting a little bit and I'm letting this experience out. And this gentleman, who is a good friend now, he's very introspective. He was kind of looking down and I could tell he's processing what I was saying. He was listening. And he looks up at me after I get it off my chest and he goes, "You're a smart guy. You'll figure it out." Now, either A, he's a massive jerk, or B, he's brilliant, right? And at the time, I thought it was A. But as I've reflected on that experience and as I'm doing what I do now, I can tell you today he's an extreme genius. Because what was he saying to me in that moment? He was saying to me, well, if you need me to solve your problem, then why are you here? And what I've come to see as I've come through that experience, and what I want to convey to you today is that he was giving me a challenging leadership development experience. You all know, and you all would probably attest to, that there is no greater teacher than experience, right? And it's something that we have to be patient. It's something that doesn't come overnight. And as much as I love to train, and let's put us in a classroom and we'll have a lot of fun together, what I do should be only a small part of your development. And what I want to convey to you today through some tools is that as leaders, we can give our people, if we're intentional, these type of challenging experiences through the work they do, if we're just a little bit intentional. Now, I will say the caveat here before we start is that we have to shift our mindset. So this is the old adage of delegation, right? We need to get work done through people. We need to delegate, we need to multiply ourselves, and that's true. But what I want you to kind of flip on your head here is start thinking about how do you get people done through work, right? Let's flip it a little bit. Let's think about how we get people's development done intentionally through the work that we strategically give them. It takes a little bit of extra thought, but when done well and done intentionally, we can actually get the day-to-day done, but give it to the right people with the right potential and the right opportunities to make them better through this.